Welcome to the Full Advisor Coaching Podcast with your host, Kristin Harrod. Kristin, I'm looking over the notes, and the title of this one, Are Your Advisors Spending Too Much Time Getting Ready? And I thought, this is going to be like about lazy financial advisors. And then the more I read the notes, the more I dug in. Well, that's not what this is about at all.
No, it's not. It's about business development. So we're continuing our theme there. As advisors progress in organizations and become lead advisors and want to move up in the ranks, it's like, well, at some point, new business needs to come in the door. And that's a skill that we talked about in the last episode that you can learn, right?
Yes.
Most people don't know how, and they can learn. And today's episode is really about how to overcome that planning to death cycle that can stall you for outreach. So the getting ready is simply kind of the extension of a really good financial planner is one who looks at all the details, understands all the parts, is well educated, is well credentialed, spends time and energy making sure things are right and that they're giving great advice. And all of that is superb for delivering a comprehensive personal financial plan that's going to help a person succeed in that way, but not so good when you try to apply that same approach to business development. So it's interesting because you and I were talking right before we hit record too, of it's somewhat of an how the profession has changed as well, in that it was originally like, okay, all sales based, all reach out, sell the insurance, get the brokerage account set up, and then let it go. And it wasn't about the financial plan. It wasn't about integrating all of the elements. It was about product sales. And now as you get into advice and planning and how that becomes even more important over time, it's a whole different story. But we'll get into that. Hey there, it's Kristin. Quick break. If you're enjoying the show and you want more, head on over to fulladvisorcoaching.com/resources. You can download the toolkits that I have there and join the free insider community. You'll be the first to hear about new trainings, fresh podcast episodes, and I share with you real-world strategies that I see working for advisors right now. That's fulladvisorcoaching.com/resources. Go sign up. It's completely free. And now back to the show. This episode is especially for leaders of RIAs and financial, of firms, because I know they're the ones getting frustrated. And I know this because I've been having the conversations, right? And, they want their advisors to be doing outreach. They're saying, we have a CRM, we've given you templates, we have messaging, we have, meetings every week to ask you how you're doing, yet they're not, advisors are getting stuck in actually engaging. They're getting ready. They're trying to think it through too much. So today we're going to get over that.
I'm going to ask it because it seems obvious. Is getting over it as simple as just do it?
Well, yes, you've now advanced to the end of the episode, but
sorry.
So if anyone doesn't want to listen to the whole thing, yes, just do it. We'll do a little Nike call there.
All right. Wait, we're going to put the Nike template up. Boy, we'll invite conversation with them. No. What I mean by that, without skipping to the end of it, the problem for the leaders you're talking about, the problems for the folks at the firms you talk to is like, how do I get Bill to just stop getting ready and leap into the pool, as it were, right?
Right. So this is really about what is it that you can do? And then advisors who are listening, it's like, you can probably relate as you're listening, and hopefully we can inspire you to get into action. So I think first things first, we might want to take a look at what getting ready looks like, how it might show up. You may not be able to, you may not even realize you're doing it because you're so used to taking time to plan. If you spend a lot of time let's say, researching or trying to figure out just the right message to say when you're following up with a prospect or you've met someone and you want to do some outreach. This can show up as rewriting an email over and over and over again. Now, I don't know if you remember this, Bill, but I'm sure today's advisors, it's, everything's a lot about like emailing and following up. But I remember when I was less, as I talked about before, I had to learn this skill of outreach. And now I happen to really get excited about it. But when I didn't, I can remember spending hours leaving a voicemail, and then at the end, you wait and you go, please give me the option to delete it and re-record. And then you'd wait for the pound. I'd hit the pound sign. Okay, I'm re-recording. Oh, no, I don't like it. Re-record. I can remember doing that 7, 8, 9 times to try to get it right. And then accidentally, if you hit the wrong one, and then you're like, oh, I guess that one's going. But now it's the same thing now. People rewrite emails over and over again. I think the way I see it show up a lot is the fixating on making something perfect, whether it's I have to get my LinkedIn bio right, or as soon as we get this service overview sheet right, we don't quite have the words down correctly. These are all just I'll say procrastination, but it's not necessarily procrastination as much as I think fear, right? Yeah. So fear and being like, I want to have the answer right. I want to do it the way that is the right way. That is the way that it will get done, which in business development, there isn't necessarily a right way, right? One interesting thing too, is that another way of getting ready is you're like avoiding. And so you make these excuses like, I would follow up, but I didn't hear back on my emails, but I would follow up, but I got the out of office responder and he's back now, but he probably doesn't want me bugging him about a new business opportunity because he just got back and how much time should I give him? And then I wait, and now I've waited too long, and now it seems silly to reach out because I've waited too long and I'm going to look foolish because I didn't reach out. And I'm going to confess something, Bill. I just did this. I did this. No. And I'm so mad at myself, and I'm doing forgiveness, going, all right, we'll use this as a teaching example.
There we go. The thing is, Kristin, truthfully, everybody listening to this, including myself, have all done exactly this.
Yeah, some days you're on a great roll and you just do it. And other days, this one, I had a great conversation with a gentleman a couple months ago. I sent my follow-up and the proposal, and he was like, great, we're going to go into a meeting, this with the leadership. We'll, get back to you. And I was like, great. We'll follow up with you after your date that we discussed. I followed up, didn't hear from him. Followed up again with another email, didn't hear from him, got the out of office responder. Oh, okay, he's on vacation. Then sent some of my just emails that I sent to my whole list and got more out of office. I'm like, oh, he's out of office again. Okay. All right. And then I kept saying to myself, I need to call him because that's part of my process, email, call. Not always in that order. But then I was like, I'm not gonna call. And then I emailed him again with some added value, hey, this is something I think you'll find interesting. I know and then I waited, and then I kept waiting, and I finally reached out again just last week, and I said, I know it's been a little while, and you've been traveling this summer. I see you. I mean, I hope you've been enjoying your summer. I see you've been, out of office on and off, and I'm, hope it's been fulfilling. I know this. But business development coaching was a priority for you when we last spoke. Is it still a priority? Let me know. And sure enough, I heard back from him. Yeah, he said, and the answer was, oh my goodness, I've been so busy. I had to postpone thinking about this because I've had, things come up. And I was like, see, how many decades have I done this where I know this is the case? Mm-hmm. And I felt, you kind of fell off the wagon for a minute. And then I'm like, oh, now we're back on. Because the myth that I see in terms of the getting ready is I've waited too long, so I can't. But the reality is, if you do nothing, you're in the same spot. But if you reach out and they go, hey, we've already handled that, then you go, all right, that's on me. I didn't follow up. But you're not going to get the business if you don't follow up. So
no, but I think, you know, and it's interesting because see, what I heard when you were telling this story is that you were writing a script in your mind about what was going on the other end of the phone. You were writing a thing like, oh, this guy's probably on vacation. He's probably doing this or he's doing that. And we have all been there. We all do that. We invent a story on the other end of the line that we cannot possibly know whether it's true or not. And lo and behold, when you get a hold of him, he's like, he hasn't been on vacation. He's been like really busy and he's had a ton of things that he's had to deal with. That's a cautionary tale in some way.
Yeah, no, and it's the same thing when I had my financial planning firm, and I'd be like, wow, I swear they were going to sign up, and then they didn't. And you start to go, maybe I didn't do it right, maybe I did. And then ultimately you find out, oh, I just had to stay in front of them.
Yeah.
And when they're ready, which is the bigger picture. You know, we talked about that in the lead to client conversion episode. It's like you stay in front. It's just everyone falls off and gets in their head at different points, even if you're really practiced and good at this. So you have to try to catch yourself. And, you know, it's very understandable why people get stuck there, especially advisors who've never done business development. And I think one of the big things is that fear of rejection. That's one of the biggest ones. Like, suppose I do reach out to you and I go, hey, here's my proposal. I'm looking forward. And what if they write back and go, are you insane? That's crazy. You know, that's what I hear people say, be like, oh my gosh, what if they think my fee is too high? What if they think, you know, oh my goodness, I couldn't possibly pay that much. And it's funny because people get afraid of rejection or embarrassment, or if they sound too salesy. And I think I brought up this podcast before. I listened to the One Thing podcast by the author of the book, The One Thing, which is one of my favorite books. And Jay Papasan was talking, and he was like, fear of failure is often what stops us from taking action, where you think to yourself, if I actually go out and try something and I fail, oh my God, what's going to happen? So not acting is this form of self-protection, like you're trying to protect yourself.
Yes.
When in fact, you're just fueling the cycle of not progressing, right?
You're eroding your confidence.
Exactly.
You're just eroding your own confidence at that point.
Yeah. And I think this gets back to some of what we talked about last week about the comparison game. And how everyone kind of looks at that one person who does business development really well.
Yeah.
And like that star advisor who just kind of was born with the talent and, gets out there. And, we talked about what makes a great business developer in episode, I think it was 38. And, pretty much revealed that even the best performers had to learn and practice their skills and get out there. They're just personalities a little different. So you have to find what fits for your personality. But I also think, and this is interesting because I had this great conversation with the head of growth at a $3 billion firm out on the West Coast here. And we were talking about how, when you're training, junior advisors and they have multiple advisors, and, they've learned to analyze, study, and do things. They don't actually know what activities to pursue. And I think this is one of the biggest reasons advisors, when you're like, okay, go get some new business, I think they don't ultimately know what activities to pursue. Like, what is it that I'm supposed to do? Am I supposed to go to a networking event? Am I supposed to call a friend? Am I supposed to connect with someone on LinkedIn? Like, what do I do? And so I think some of the confusion, if you don't have a structured program around helping people figure that out, it's like, actually that gentleman I was talking to, they actually have kind of gamified the system and everyone has activities that they've committed to doing. and not all the same activities. They kind of, I think they have, like what he was saying was kind of a menu of activities you could do, and you get different points for different ones, right? Like if you give a presentation or a webinar, you might get more points than sending, posting on LinkedIn or something. But you have different point values, and you just have to do the activities to get the points, which is a great way to teach people how to, get in and become aware of what are all of the different things you can do. I had another firm leader who is really frustrated because he's trying to teach his advisors, and he's like, they're missing the low-hanging fruit. They're having conversations with clients, what they're very good at, speaking with clients, and a client will say, oh, I just changed jobs, which you may not realize, Bill, but when you hear that as an advisor, you think, oh, you probably have a 401k plan that we can roll over into an IRA, and then we will take it off the company's books and move it over here. We can manage the IRA as part of the whole portfolio. And this firm leader was like, they didn't even ask about, well, what's their 401k situation? How does that work? And I was like, in that case, I would say the reason they didn't ask, it's probably not that they didn't realize it was there, but they probably didn't know how to ask in a way that didn't feel salesy. So it's, again.
There's a certain truth I think everyone can understand that's listening to this, because when you're new in a business, whether it's financial advising or whatever it may be, there's a point early in your career where you do need people to say, hey, Bill, these are the things you can do. And then by hearing the things you can do, you then start connecting the dots to other things you can do yourself. But you need somebody to say, hey, it's not really that hard. Here, do these couple of things and explore that.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that will, takes us really nicely into how do we, knowing that advisors, especially ones who have come in to be hired to be planners and to have a credential where they had to study and learn and get the, designation. Now you're asking them to do something that is a whole different skill set.
Yeah.
How do we shift them from planning into action? So like I just said, I think some of the big ways is to focus on activity-based goals. So not just, hey, let's you have to bring in $10 million, which is also, it's good to contextualize that. But what if you start first with if you can send 3 follow-up emails between now and our next team meeting. Okay, great. That at least can get it going. It's not to say you don't set tiers on how much money you're bringing in.
Sure.
Sometimes that works really well, sometimes not. We're going to have an episode with Kelly Cruz, who's a talent who's very focused on HR and talent, and she's really strong at designing compensation structures for firms. And that's where you do get into how does it affect compensation and how do the activities tie. So again, that's all part of job description, responsibility, career track. But I think if we can start when you're starting, especially with people who have been resistant to get into action, give them some activities, to your point.
Yeah.
Tell them what to do. Another big thing is to make it okay to be imperfect. And this comes back to the entire thing of progress over perfection, right?
Yes.
This works really well in coaching because you can make it okay, especially in a group coaching situation. You'd be like, okay, this person, tell me about what happened. And I see this like, okay, what happened? Well, you tried that. Okay, that didn't quite land. And then how might you improve it? And someone else might weigh in. In my case, I might weigh in, but it's kind of like oftentimes the person already knows what they could do, but you make it okay to be like, hey, cool first try. Let's try to, let's look at what we can change for the next round. So it's, we know we're not going to be perfect in outreach. I mean, go back to my story about the gentleman that I was like, how did I not follow up? I mean, you're not going to get it right. And sometimes you will get negative feedback, but overall, we want to make it okay that it's not perfect.
Yeah, which it goes to your point earlier in that, if you want people to get unstuck, you have to make it okay for them to not succeed at times. It's like, okay, but you got unstuck and you went there.
Yeah, you gave it a go. And that kind of gets into like fundamentally, how can you help educate? And one of the ways we look at this is using like a time block where you do, rather than overwhelm of like, okay, this week you have to spend some time doing business development. It's like, okay, block 30 minutes in your calendar where you have this sort of business development burst, right? Where you only get 30 minutes and you must send something out to someone or do one outreach to someone. And 30 minutes is probably too long for that. You could probably say you must do 3, but let's, slow it down to like, just at least do one thing in that 30 minutes. And then that's it. Like it starts to build the muscle. And that also gets back to choosing when you have the highest energy in the day. And a lot of times that's earlier in the day for people to do the outreach while they're still feeling energized before it becomes something that they put off all day. So that's another thing you can do. And I just think overall, if there's any way you can give templates, scripts for a period of time, we want people to be able to use their own voice. But even in the coaching, we can do the role playing where people can get comfortable saying things out loud. And then when it comes up, they are less judgmental about it.
Yes.
Yeah. And oh my goodness, you would have laughed. Yesterday, I was walking from, I go to an office sometimes downtown, and I was down there and I was walking up to my workout, listening to my book, Audible.
Yep.
And I listened to this book, Give to Grow, which is by Mo Bonnell.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, but we'll have it in the show notes. And in the concept, this is all about business development. The book's called Give to Grow, meaning like you want to give out more to be able to learn the skill. He's calling business development growth skills, which I do like that.
I like that.
He has this concept of do this now. And it was funny because he was like, okay, while you're listening, open a browser, get ready. And then he was like, the point being like, when you think of someone to reach out to, send a note right away. Don't wait. Don't overthink it. You want to keep it simple and get it out there. Write a quick note, ask them to get together, and hit send. He's like, otherwise excuses are going to come in. It'll be another 3 months, 6 months, 3 years before you go, oh, that's right, I want to reach out to them again.
Yeah. It reminds me actually of a really well-known business and success coach. And I'm going to paraphrase his saying. And so it's,
okay.
But you get the idea. It's like, if not now, when?
When? Yeah, exactly.
So do it.
Yeah. Yes. My husband likes to say, he won't listen to this, so it doesn't matter. But he likes to say, like, he's like, the one way not to get the business, he's like, don't ask,
Don't ask.
Don't send the email. Don't check in.
Right.
I'm like, got it. Okay. Another great perspective on this is in this book called Lean Learning. It's a new book by this author, Pat Flynn. I'm kind of trading off between 2 books right now. But he talks about getting just enough knowledge to take action. So this like micro learning concept of like, you don't need to be an expert before you start something. And he's really talking about how you learn by doing, right?
Yes.
Not by preparing. And like, you don't need 10 hours of prep to send a follow-up email. You need about 10 minutes. Get clear, confident, and hit the send button. So I liked that. I thought that was a great, another great way to think about it.
I like that too, because it is true. The more often you do it, the more you realize I'm learning a whole lot more just in the act of execution here, just in the act of doing it. And if your leadership has made it okay to be imperfect, because we all are, I think people flourish in that kind of environment. I think that people will go, oh, okay, that didn't work quite like I thought it would work. Because I think most of us want to succeed. Most of us want to do these things. Most of us want,
Right. You want the outcome for sure.
Right. You want the outcome. Absolutely.
And I think, to your point, like when leaders can reinforce taking the action, I think that's really important. Yep. And then when that person comes into the next team meeting, they can say, hey, I followed up with 5 people in the last week. It doesn't mean that you closed the business.
Right.
It meant that you did an outreach. And that's where we want to celebrate. Be like, we have taken action. We have moved forward. We can nuance and build and get to the closing techniques and all of that over time. But let's get them started with doing the reps on reaching out. And that's where these team meetings can be helpful, whether it's in coaching or whether it's, I know a lot of advisory teams kind of have a Monday morning check-in meeting where they go through opportunities and talk about where everyone is in their business development. Share the wins, have, even small wins, share it publicly with the team. So everyone's seeing the reinforcement of, hey, I took an action. Look at this. I'm being called out for it. I mean, you may think, oh, really? They need that? Yeah, people need it. Yeah, they want it. Even if they don't, they still feel good. So, it gets fundamentally back to that same concept we've been talking about pretty much since we started this podcast, Bill, of progress, not perfection.
Yes.
It's iterative. We're taking steps forward that might have a few back steps. So... And I would be remiss if I didn't say that when you can bring in a coach like myself or someone else who does this work, it can help advisors feel more comfortable in addressing what might be holding them back, being able to articulate their fear without having that judgment of leadership. Mm-hmm. They have a little bit more of a safe space, as we like to call it out here in California. We can hold a safe space. How do you like that, Bill?
I like that.
A little California love. California love. To, let people be able to be like, hey, I'm actually really afraid to get on the phone and talk. Okay, well, let's talk about what that might be like, and then what will you say? How would you say it? Or is there a different way we could do that? So I think that is kind of my short plug for why it's helpful to bring in outside help.
Well, no. And to your point, I mean, leadership can do so much because leadership has other responsibilities. Leadership has other things that they're attentive to. The idea of bringing in a coach is really bringing in help from the bench, if you will. It's like bring that coach in who sits down and talks with the people and reiterates the values of the firm, and in talking to them, it instills confidence in them. Because back to your point, we all like praise, whether we want to admit it or not, whether we want to say, yeah, I like that praise. We do, okay?
Sure.
We like being praised. So when you've got that kind of environment, it makes a world of difference. I'm sure you see it all of the time because you do this for a living. Right.
And I think, I'm hearing frustration from firm leaders. I get it. It's, you work, if you started a firm or you joined a firm fairly early and you've been building up the business and making it what it is today, it's hard not to look at the next group and be like, what's the problem? Are they lazy? But no, they're not. They're not. They are willing to work hard. You can see it by the education and work and effort they're putting into their planning and to their position. But as they move up, they're stuck. They don't know what to do, and you need to help them figure that out because it takes encouragement, it takes support, and we want the next generation to take risks, and you have to do it in a way that may have been different than the way that you got to where you are today. So we're evolving, we're changing, we have the growth mindset, so we want to put it to use.
So anybody who's listening to this, any leadership that might be listening to this, who want to explore the idea of this coaching concept a little bit further with you, how would they get a hold of you?
The best way is to go to fulladvisorcoaching.com. I do have an overview of the enterprise team coaching or the group coaching in the services area, but you can also just hit that button in the upper right corner that says request a call and get on my calendar. we can have a conversation. And if you're out on LinkedIn and you want to reach out, just look me up, send me a message, and I'll get in touch with you there. But this is a very exciting, invigorating topic for me, and I'm seeing it really play out in my conversations, and it's exciting to think about kind of how we can help the next generation. So it's been a lot of fun, and I hope to bring a lot more content around this topic.
Yeah, so any leaders listening to this, don't get stuck. Just do it.
There you go. Hit that button.
Had to take us back from the beginning to the end. There we go.
Yes. And when we're talking about hitting that button, how about hitting the follow button so everyone knows when the next episode's coming? It come right into there. It helps us and it helps you, and you'll know exactly when I drop the next episode.
Yeah,
I'm taking your line, Bill, but
No. And I was going to add on to that by simply saying, if you are a listener, a regular listener, a subscriber, and you like the podcast, you could tell people about it.
Yeah.
Like it and tell people about it. Because, Kristin, I know that you probably experience this as well. I get a lot of recommendations from things, because I don't think they're people. From things on the internet saying, yes, it's just for you. And I'm like thinking, you don't know me at all. So the word of mouth is the most valuable promotional tool there is. So please, if you enjoyed the podcast, you find it useful, hit that follow button and then tell people about it. It would be great. So until next time, remember, you have a choice today. You can go out and make today a great day or not, but the choice is yours. Use it wisely. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to Full Advisor Coaching, the podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please hit the follow button so you'll never miss an episode. To learn more about how you can become a part of the Full Advisor community, visit fulladvisorcoaching.com. Remember, stay connected and get notified as soon as brand new episodes release. Click the follow button now. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Kristin Harrod or Full Advisor Coaching.